Am I the asshole for offering to sell my seat to honeymooners? I was flying from Melbourne to Dubai. I paid for a premium economy seat because it is a 14-hour flight and I want to be comfortable. The person in the next seat had been upgraded and they asked if I could switch seat with their wife as they had just gotten married and were on their honeymoon. I congratulated him on his nuptials and asked where his wife was sitting. He pointed towards the back of the plane. In economy. I declined to switch seats. He asked if there was any way to convince me. I offered to switch if he paid the difference between the seats. It is a goodly amount. I had been lucky to get mine at a decent price. It would only have cost him $1,000 Australian dollars. He said that they were on a budget for their honeymoon. I congratulated once again and put in my earbuds. He muttered that I was an asshole. I said he was a prick for taking the upgrade instead of either sitting with his wife or giving it to her. I told my wife about the incident and she thinks I should have done the nice thing. For the record, she hates flying in economy, so I know she would not have switched. Not the asshole. If he really wanted to sit with his wife, I'm sure the person sitting beside her would have loved an upgrade to premium economy. He was essentially asking you to pay for his wife's upgrade. As a seasoned flyer from Australia who also works in aviation? I smell a rat. Presumably they booked together. They would have had the opportunity to plead their case when the upgrade was processed, either by contacting the airline prior to the day of flying, or in person at the airport. My bet is that they either booked separately, so she couldn't be taken into account, or he has some kind of status with the airline. And I'd also bet that the newlywed yarn was just made up for sympathy. He didn't have to take the upgrade, and you are not to blame for his selfishness and lack of planning. Not the asshole at all. People who do this kind of thing are so crappy. Him trying to guilt trip you by telling you he was on his honeymoon was supposed to mean what exactly? Why were he and his wife entitled to a $1,000 gift from a stranger at the last minute? So their plan was to take the upgrade and try to bamboozle whoever was sitting there? They played themselves. He said that they were on a budget for their honeymoon. What does this have to do with the price of peace? Their poor planning is not your emergency. They should have rejected the upgrade if they wanted to be sure they sat together. Not the asshole. I'm so tired of people thinking they can guilt someone into giving in, even expecting them to lose money in the deal. This guy is the asshole and I don't think his marriage will last. They just got married and he already abandoned his new wife for the good life. His wife now knows she made a mistake. Hopefully she'll get out before too long. The asshole is the guy who took the upgrade, left his wife in economy, and tried to guilt a stranger into swapping seats with his wife. He had options. He could have either refused the upgrade, paid the price difference you offered, or swapped seats with his wife. Suggesting that you are the asshole in this scenario confirms he's awful. Good luck to his new wife. Not the asshole. Wait a second. Melbourne, Dubai. Is your name Morgan? Not the asshole. I think you did a great service to the wife. You have helped her see who her husband really is, hopefully before they have children together. On their honeymoon he abandons her? He upgrades and leaves her behind? Is that what he'll do again when he sees the first wrinkle on her, or if she gains 3 pounds? Leave her behind when he upgrades? Hopefully your act of kindness will help her see clearly to dump his ass. Am I the asshole for being culturally insensitive about butter? I was at my boyfriend's family home. I'm a nurse. My son burnt himself on the grill by smacking his forehead into while playing. He had a little burn. I went to the bathroom to clean it up and put some cold water on it. My boyfriend's great-grandmother is there. There might be some cultural differences between they are Latina, but she insists on putting butter on my kid's burn. I said no and his mom came to talk to me saying I should just do this because it's disrespectful to his great-grandmother not to take her advice, she's almost 100. I told his mother it's disrespectful of them not to listen to me about treating my own child and I'm a nurse so I'm not putting butter on a small burn. The woman and his family tried to bully me again about the butter and I finally got mad and said butter is for cooking, why would I want it on the burn? I saw his mom try yo put it on my kid and I said no fucking butter. I took my kid and left. My boyfriend said I am not to treat his family like that and I should have just let them do it. In his culture elders are important. I said in my culture my boundaries and health are more important than your grandma's ego. We haven't talked since and my friend said I was being insensitive to my boyfriend and his family. Edit. My boyfriend is not the father of my son. I am divorced. Not the asshole, they need to respect you as a nurse. How long since you and your boyfriend talked? Not pulling the Reddit dump him card, but you two need to look at cultural differences to see if this will work. Not the asshole. This is about the well-being of your child. You do not put butter on burns. I was taught this 34 years ago in first aid and basic training. You're a nurse. You have greater knowledge of these matters than 99% of the population. You're not being culturally insensitive, you're being sensible. Your boyfriend and your friend are being assholes. Maybe show them medical websites which advise against putting butter on burns. Perhaps ask them if they feel it's fair to endanger your own child to perpetrate a harmful myth? Or just tell them to F off. Not the asshole. Butter on a burn is an old home remedy that is harmful rather than helpful. The grease will cause the burn to retain more heat, which will make the burn worse. Not the asshole culture or not you have to protect your son against bad advice and bad medical treatment. My boyfriend said I am not to treat his family like that and I should have just let them do it. In his culture elders are important. I said in my culture my boundaries and health are more important than your grandma's ego. We haven't talked since and my friend said I was being insensitive to my boyfriend and his family. You two are due for a serious long talk. I would make this my hill to die on. Science stupid old wives' tales. You did learn a lesson about your boyfriend and how he views things. Might be time to move on. I said in my culture my boundaries and health are more important than your grandma's ego. Yes. Not the asshole. Wow. Using butter on a burn was debunked when I was a child, but you still see it in shows and movies, so I guess some people didn't get the memo. That being said, bullying a mother about her child's welfare is a no-no. Bullying a nurse about first aid is just dumb. Am I the asshole for missing my sister's wedding after she scheduled it on a date she knew I might not make it? Sister and fiancé, both early 40s, are getting married after many years of dating. First marriage for both, but they've been casual about this from the get-go. They decided to get married randomly after a conversation with friends prompted it, no proposal, wanted a courthouse ceremony and just a party with their friends. Our family has blown this up a bit. It seems to be moving now more towards a backyard wedding with friends and family. Several months ago while they were discussing dates, my sister asked me what my availability was because I'm the only family that lives far away and I have 3 young kids, so I'm the most difficult to pin down. We talked through my schedule and I gave her dates that were kind of like, no, maybe, and, yes, absolutely. She said she was planning on those, yes, timeframes anyways, so, awesome, this will be great. Save the dates go out via email a few weeks later, and she set a date that was on my, maybe, weekends. I call and ask what's up. She said her and finance also kicked dates around with friends, and this was the one that seemed to work for them, so they decided to do that. The maybe reason for me was related to other travel I have already scheduled. Trying to get back to my hometown with my whole family is no longer an option. Now it becomes only some of us go, and not others, or we fly out on different days. It's a mess to navigate. She says, hey, it's okay. I want you there, but I understand. I talked to my spouse. We decide it's too much to navigate, too expensive to make it work. We're not going. My sister seems fine. She keeps downplaying mom and dad making a big deal out of this. Says it's not even a wedding. Yada yada. I'm feeling okay, but my siblings and my parents are absolutely ripping me to shreds over this. They are piling on the heaviest guilt trips, accusing me of not caring about family and shit like that. Like I should just cancel and eat the cost of other things I've already paid for, and can't get refunded, and drop thousands of dollars to fly my family to this wedding that my sister scheduled to happen on a weekend when they knew I may not be able to attend. So Reddit. Am I the asshole for skipping this wedding? ETA info. I'm reading and trying to reply, but there's a lot here. I'm definitely taking away a lot of different things that happened here that might have made me the ah. The common question is, why did I say maybe if I had plans? That's valid criticism, but when I said we looked at dates, what I meant was more like general timeframes. It went like this. My sister says they want to do it before the weather cools down. This leaves us pretty much with July, August, Sept. I said, hey, July is absolutely nuts for us at work. If you do it, then we definitely can't go. August. There's some weeks that are better than others, it's a toss-up. September, I'm wide open, zero conflicts. She had been saying Sept all along, that was the month. We didn't even talk about specific dates in August because she wasn't indicating that was an option for her at that time. When I hung up, I was entirely under the impression that it was going to be Sept and August wasn't on the radar. I understand why some think I come across as being judgy about their wedding, or that I'm trying to make it seem unimportant. That's really not how I feel. I've encouraged her from the start to block out all the family noise and just do what she wants. My dad tried to get her to change the date when I said my family couldn't make it, and I had to tell him to leave her alone and let her do what she wants. She's been the one who didn't want to call it a wedding. She didn't like that it was turning into a bigger thing. Told me many times they were just trying to make the parents happy by doing a thing. I'm certainly wondering now if she was being honest with me about the importance of it, and my being there. It's possible she was just trying to not to put a guilt trip on me. She knows it costs a fortune for us to fly out, that it's a full day of travel in each direction. It's not some 2-hour direct cheap flight for a casual weekend trip. It's coast to coast and corner to corner with multiple flights and hours of driving to, from both departing and arriving airports. Not the asshole. Your sister is planning her wedding knowing you might not be there. You had discussed this possibility. Your family shouldn't even be involved, they're the ones creating drama where none exists. Enjoy your trip. Mild, you are the asshole because the plans were already in place and it really isn't workable, then the date should have been a no from you, not a maybe. Nothing in your plans has changed from when you discussed dates except you've decided. It's a mess to navigate. Not even impossible, just a mess. If you weren't willing to navigate the mess, you should have said so from the start. Info. Why not leave your spouse and kids at home and go to the wedding by yourself? Edited a word. When your sister went over dates with you, you gave some, maybe, dates. That suggests you hadn't finalized any plans or bought any tickets. You never informed her that a, maybe, date changed to a definitely not date until after she sent out her save the date cards. Even in your title you say she scheduled with on a date she knew you might not make it. According to the other comments, I'm in the minority, but I think you're the asshole. You knew your sister was planning a wedding, which is a pretty important occasion. You decided that you making plans for a vacation to visit family took precedence over her hopefully once-in-a-lifetime wedding. Now you're acting indignant because other family members are calling you out. In my opinion, you're the asshole. Info. Why would you give her a maybe for a date where you already had travel plan? You are the asshole. You listed the date, maybe, when it should have been, no. Now you're whinging and refusing to go. Exhausting. Am I the asshole for telling my father to get over the vase my son broke? When I was a teenager, my father bought a large glass vase, which he filled with wine corks. For years, it stayed on top of a small table in the living room. My family visits him monthly for lunch. Last October, my son was running around my father's living room and accidentally knocked the table over, which caused the vase to fall down and break. I immediately apologized and offered to buy a new vase. My husband and I also cleaned everything up. My father declined my offer to replace it. At the time, he said he understood it was an accident and was just glad my son hadn't gotten hurt. He was 2 years old at the time, and there was a lot of glass on the floor. During the next couple of months, I apologized and offered to pay for a new vase multiple times. My father continued saying it was fine. However, earlier this year, my father started talking about how much he loved the cork vase, and how expensive it had been back when he bought it. As the following months went by, his complaints began to escalate. He'd make comments about the fact that my son broke the vase almost every time we came over. Occasionally, he'd also joke that we should plan our visits with longer notice so that he could hide his valuables from my kid. Last week, he threw a party at his place, which we attended. A friend of his who hadn't visited in a while noticed the vase was gone and asked about it, to which my father replied that, my little shit, had broken it and I hadn't replaced it. My husband was nearby and heard it. After the party, I confronted my father, and we fought. He said that he had the right to complain about the fact that my son had damaged his property. I told him that while he has the right to be upset, the fact that he declined my offer to buy him a new vase does not entitle him to complain about me not doing it. He can either retract his forgiveness and work something out with me or get over the vase and stop blaming my toddler for the accident. I won't have him calling my son names over this. My father is still insisting I'm in the wrong here. Am I the asshole? Edit. I recommend reading my comments. Plenty of people are making assumptions that I'm clarifying in my replies. My father replied that, my little shit, had broken it. Not the asshole, but is this normal behavior for your father? Does he have a history of name-calling or treating your child badly? Is little shit an extreme insult in his usual lexicon? Or some kind of weird term of affection? The solution would be to buy him a vase for Father's Day, his B-Day, Christmas. Every holiday buy him a vase in perpetuity. Make him so plentiful with vases he wishes he never sees another vase again. Problem solved. INTA. Not the asshole. FFS. Your son was a toddler doing toddler things. Your dad should have toddler-proofed the house. You offered to pay for a new vase, he declined, he can STF you about it. I always thought collecting and displaying wine corks was bizarre. Hey, look at how much I drink, everyone. Not the asshole replaced the vase anyway, and maybe he can come to your house for the monthly lunch visit from now on so his precious items won't be in danger. Or just stop the monthly lunch visits for a while. If you tell someone it's fine, and not to worry about it, you don't get to keep bringing it up. I think you should have just replaced the vase. By asking him if he wants you were putting an emotional burden on him. The very act of asking implies not replacing it is an option to you. This was something he had valued for years and to you it was optional. That hurt him as much as it getting broken to begin with. But he probably doesn't have the words to express that. He might not really have any idea why it's all so very enraging to him. He might just be feeling the emotions without digging into the why. But it has always been your obligation to replace the vase. Not offer to replace it, or give him money to replace it, but actually go out, find the absolute closest match, buy it, and bring it to him. You are the asshole. Not the asshole. Your dad should not be going around lying that you didn't offer to replace it when you did. That said, I think it's pretty rude to let a 2-year-old run around a house with sentimental, breakable glass decor out. You visit for one meal a month. You can't find other activities to entertain him for what, 2 hours per month? My grandma had glass figurines on every surface. We were not allowed to run around. Maybe what you think of as a one-time frustration to your dad is more of a, my grandson runs wildly around glass decor and my daughter doesn't teach him he needs to sit and color at grandpa's. She just laughs it off and shrugs.